Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is a lap guide for Kyoto Driving Park Yamagiwa and Miyabi with the Volkswagen Beetle Gr 3. And before we get started with the lap guide, let's take a look at the race details, in which first, the Toyota Gazoo Racing GT Cup, its page just went up, and I'll leave a link to the full schedule in the description down below. But anyways, looking at the race details for Daily Race C, this is an 8 lap race with the Group 3 cars. Fuel and tire are ×1, so tire fuel will not be an issue, and we're only working with the racing hard tires. There are no mandatory pit stops, none of that jazz, so this is a really easy 0-stop race. BOP is on and tuning is disabled, so no, you cannot tune your car. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started with the lap guide. In the Volkswagen Beetle Gr 3, make sure you shift just before the bar fills up. But anyways, bring yourself towards the right side of the track. Look for the 50-meter board as you're going to brake just after you pass it. So you're going to be at around 50% braking power and start to turn in. So you're doing quite a bit of trail braking, trying to stay as close as you can to the inside of the turn. And as you point away from the final grandstand, that's when you want to start to get on the throttle. You can even use the curbs to help you turn in a bit more. For the uphill S's, you can easily take a flat out. Just try to take the uphill S's in as straight of a line as possible. Bring yourself towards the right side of the track. Just like the first turn, you're braking just after the 50-meter board using around 50% braking power. It's very similar to the first turn, except you're getting on the throttle just a little later, as this turn is a little longer than the first turn. Now this is where it gets a little tricky, and you want to brake just as you pass the first white line on the left. I brake just a little bit later to set myself up for the next hairpin that follows right after. You want to go down to third gear to take advantage of the turbo lag, and be very careful with your throttle inputs, as this part over here is really bumpy, and if you're not careful enough, then you do risk spinning out. Then you want to brake just before the curb on the right ends, staying on third gear, playing around with the throttle a bit more, trying to be really careful with the throttle so you don't spin out when the turbo kicks in. You can take the S's flat out, but you want to bring yourself towards the right side of the track. Before the curb on the right ends, you want to start to turn in and start to ease on the brakes. So you want to bring yourself as close as you can to the inside of the turn. And just as you're starting to point towards the final set of the grandstands, that's when you want to start to get on the throttle. You want to be really careful over here, timing your throttle input just right so you don't end up on the grass. Then bring yourself towards the left, and just as the yellow and gray wall on the left starts, that's when you want to start to brake as much as you can. Full braking power. Ease off of the brakes as you're turning in, going down to third gear. And you want to be really careful with your throttle inputs again, so you don't have the turbo kick in too soon on you and end up spinning out. So right around here, this is where I know I'll be able to hit the apex of this upcoming left turn, so I'll be steering with the steering input and take it flat out. Then bring yourself towards the right side of the track. You're going to brake just as the 35R ends, or just as the barrier on the right starts. So you want to brake hard for a short while, full braking power. Exit this turn on third gear, playing around with the throttle so you don't have the turbo kick in too soon on you. Then when the curb on the right is about to start, that's when you can start to ease on the brakes. You can even use braking and throttle to try to keep the car nice and stable. You're trying to keep as much momentum as possible, setting yourself up for the left turn, and then get on the throttle as soon as you can. Then bring yourself towards the left. You're braking just as you pass the Marshall stand on the left, just before the 50-meter board. So you're going at full braking power for a short moment, slowly easing off of the brakes on third gear, and just carefully getting on the throttle, and you are good to go. But that is all for the lap guide. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. So this is Mr. MCA wishing you guys a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.